to My on Mondays, an explorative approach to the possessive My through narratives, art, and sound. I'm Matt Bunk. This week, I sat down for a Q&A with multi-disciplinary painter and mixed media artist Maggi McCormick as he wrapped up his residency at MING. Maggi describes his work as creating an evolving cosmology centered on an imagined extraterrestrial society known as HOMOS, beings shaped by gay history, symbolic reclamation, and the undercurrents of pop culture. Here's Maggi in the studio.
Well, initially I feel like I started this project just to really have a one icon that I could explore for just figurative art, and the plan was just to do this body kind of over and over again until I became a great artist, I guess. But I've always been enamored with fantasy and science fiction. I think my all-time favorite author is Ursula K. Le Guin, and she's definitely a big influence on this project, along with other fantasy authors like Tolkien. I love, and as far as world building goes, I really appreciate the work of sci-fi authors like Samuel R. Delany, who's also really pushed boundaries in his own kind of mythos that he created.
Are you sitting down to concretely develop your world building, or does it happen organically while you're painting?
Organically while I'm working. I think it's not really concrete, and I don't really want it to be concrete. I want it to be really free and open. I have a lot of ideas that I don't think really conform specifically to sci-fi or fantasy. There's this huge idea, or there's a part of the zine kind of related to surrogacy, but it's where the homos they're the first homos, and they need to populate the land that they're on, called Bookstore. So they're not able to carry their eggs, they lay eggs, to adulthood, so they need help from the great clams. And this is thinking about surrogacy, but then it's also wanting to include, since my figures are so masculine, feminine aspects to the world too. I see femininity a lot in this project in nature, I guess, the way the world's presented. But I don't ever really just sit down and write. The art always comes first and then the writing later.
You've used the pillars throughout the room and the space in general uniquely. How do you decide how to install and display your work?
Well, I actually had a great time trying to figure out what to do with this space. I landed on, I'm not by any means wealthy, so I had to figure out really cheap ways to do it. So the way that we landed on and kind of decided is to divide MING Studios into 6 parts to match the 6 parts of the zine. And then we had to get a lot of art up, but I don't have glass to put stuff under or a bunch of frames to do it. So the easiest way was to get twine and clothesline and put the work, which is mostly paper, there's some canvas, just on clotheslines, which ended up being really easy to move stuff around. Some of the work's not complete, so it's easy to take it down and work on it and put it back up. But yeah, a lot of it was just investigating the space and figuring out where stuff looked good, I guess. And then I had a lot of help from Sequoia with lighting too. That made a big difference.
The show Origin of Homos is a new body of work expanding on what you've done before. Do you have any earlier work incorporated in the show?
We have some little darker paintings, I guess. Those are all just old, but they kind of fell in line with the story that I was trying to tell of this painter named Butte, who has to paint his other homos for the rest of his life, essentially. So I brought in old work for that, and then we have a small corner with some undergrad work as well.
What does your process generally look like? Do you work a little every day or in bursts?
Definitely manic episodes where I'm only making art, and it's the only thing I can do. I get really I get irritable even. I'm just I need to be doing this. But what I've been doing recently is just every morning is an hour or two of art. So I get up in the morning, take my dog out, I'll have a cigarette, and then make a coffee, and then just draw for 2 hours, which has become like sort of a ritual, and it's honestly like a beautiful way to start my day.
Ursula Le Guin, who you mentioned earlier, had a very strict daily writing routine, from what I understand. Is that part of what draws you to her work?
I guess, yeah, I'm not super sure what her process was or anything like that, but I really love how she is so committed to exploring like sociology in a science fiction aspect or fantasy, like in the Earthsea series, the Earthsea series is the one that I go back to all the time, and I've reread. I try to read it once a year. But what I really respect about her is she was really big into editing other people's work and sharing people's work. So she tried really hard during the Cold War, kind of towards the end of the Cold War, to get Soviet writers into American papers and vice versa, get American writers into Soviet papers, which was always a really interesting aspect to her that I appreciate, I guess.
You've spoken and written a bit about your work being influenced by gay history. Are there particular periods that you find yourself inspired by or returning to often?
Initially, what I started doing in pink was based off of the pink triangle, which became a really important protest symbol for the gay liberation movement. But before that, it was used by the Nazis to identify gay men in concentration camps. It's also interesting, the way lesbians were identified was with the black star, which stood for antisocial. So the Nazis were not good people, clearly, and were not doing good things, and were classifying people in really horrible ways. But I think that reappropriation of that symbol is really important to my work, and I think even just calling them homos, which is a slur, is a big part of reappropriation for me as well. But these guys have always been kind of rooted in gay liberation, or that period, along with like, I don't know, I really want to do work I want to do like a Stonewall portion where they're like throwing bricks at people, stuff like that, but like that hasn't come out yet. But it's kind of the mission behind all of it is gay liberation and the gay struggle for liberation. Queer liberation too, not just gay people, but all of us.
How do you decide what period you'll explore or reference next?
I don't know. I like channel something, but I don't know what. I have just like a lot of stuff's just in my head all the time, just moving around, and that's where once I feel like it's ready to come out of my head is when it starts to get developed. That's the most of it, I guess. I'd like to, the way I was talking before about having like an art practice in the morning, I'd really like to extend that to writing as well. I don't really consider myself like a great writer. My focus is always going to be art, but I love being able to write, and I love being able to have a story along with the art. But I think, like I said before, the art's always coming first before where the story goes, I guess.
Your work is so playful and joyful. Is that something you're cultivating intentionally?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big reason why these characters are constantly portrayed as nude. I like the just like joy and freedom in it. Just like bodies are funny, I think, and joyful, like especially penises, essentially. Like I'm doing penises not necessarily to like sexualize a penis, but to have it be like a punchline or be funny. Like bodies are goofy and joyful, so that's a huge part of the work as well.
I noticed you've added mature content warning signs on the front doors. What's going on there?
Yeah, we put them up yesterday for the artist talk. I think I'm just like overly conservative because I've lived in Idaho my entire life and never moved. So we have welcome warnings up that are, I can't remember what exactly we wrote on them, but it has 3 short lines of like sexual content, which I'm not even sure like I 100% agree that it's like sexual content. I don't think I really see that, but I don't know. I'm just like, we live in a world and it's like better to just like post something that's not intimidating but says like baseline. If you're bringing a child, if you're bringing, I don't know, it's good to post something. But honestly, I think I am a bit like paranoid or just like overly conservative in regards to like, I don't know. It's hard because I feel like I don't want to censor myself or do anything like that, but there's like kind of security in just like having a little sign that's like, this isn't 100%, I don't know, G. It's not G rated, I guess. Yeah. But that being said, I think my work is in a really good position for, I think teens is a great, like I think teens can totally appreciate my work and read it. And I was reading all sorts of like horrible stuff when I was a teenager. Like I was reading Tom of Finland like in the dark, secretly. So it's like, I feel like my work's accessible for different age ranges, not just adults. But the focus is more creating like an adult story.
Do you think about audiences or potential audiences while you're working?
No, well, I try not to let it influence me. I just want to like be able to make work because I think if I'm committed to the work and I like what I'm making, people will eventually appreciate it at some level and follow it. But it's kind of hard. It's like, I want to be able to market to everybody. I want everybody to be able to see something in the work. I don't think it's specifically for gay people or straight people or bisexual people, just like on the spectrum of sexuality and gender. I think this work is for everybody. I'd like it to be anyway.
What discoveries have been exciting for you in developing this new body of work?
I think, the biggest discovery that I made, I think, during this whole residency is MING Studios is big, and this is definitely the biggest space I've ever been able to work in. So I immediately was like, I'm gonna gesso like 30 oil canvases for oil painting. I'm gonna get so much painting done. And I got one done, I think, out of all the oil paintings. The rest are incomplete still. But what I've really fallen in love with is just working watercolors on a larger scale, and then just ink. Like watercolors and ink have been it's just a lot easier for me to not labor over it. They get done quickly. There's a process. Oil painting for me it's not like I don't know what I'm doing, but I really do focus and labor and probably spend way too much time on the painting as opposed to watercolor. So that kind of like realization and like new comfort, I guess, in the medium of watercolor, and also drawing ink on top of watercolor has been like huge. It's just, I really like working this way, and I feel like I found like two really great mediums to mix together between, I guess, ink drawing and watercolor painting. Also, I love putting zines together. This is probably like the fourth zine that I've done, and I always forget how much fun it is to put one together. So, that kind of like page layout, book design, and things like that, and making zines is something that I forget that I just like absolutely love. So this has also reaffirmed that.
On the other side, what stumbling blocks have you come across?
I feel like most of my stumbling blocks are like more material than anything. I'm just like not, I work really part-time. So like, I'm not like loaded. And so I gotta like be able to balance, doing art and not really making any money in it, but still wanting to be committed. And like, that's where my passion is. Along with also, paying rent, bills, things like that. I feel like that's the hardest thing overall. I'm also diagnosed with depression as well, so I go through some like really low points, but art's usually what gets me out of those. So stumbling blocks are like both self-made through just like how I am dealing with like my brain and my motivations, and trying to keep those at like going up, not down, at like a level pace. But I feel like the most of it is just material. Like I really have to like bust ass which is, exhausting, but parts of it I really love. I love being busy. It keeps me that helps with my brain a lot too, just my thinking. If I'm busy and occupied, I'm doing way better than if I'm mopey or, I don't know, just not feeling good about what I'm doing. But art's a big part of what keeps me going forward.
What's next for you and the HOMOS?
I'm still figuring it out. I have Boise's home to a lot of really cool residencies, so I do want to take a look at what other opportunities are available, and maybe shop HOMOS around a little more. As far as this, I very specifically wanted to make sure that this zine was only a portion of part one. So I want to keep expanding on, I guess, part one, the origin of HOMOS. It doesn't feel done yet, and it feels like it should. Everything I wrote could be expanded on, and everything could be bigger, grander. But this whole experience with the residency at MING has really put me in a position where I'm taking this incredibly seriously and really envisioning the future of it. It feels much more possible now than it did prior to this experience to keep going on and going and going. I kind of see this as a lifelong project, so this has been a really good foundation, I guess, for starting or moving forward, I guess, in an art career. It's the goal, I think. But I know I'll always be making art. That's not art's not going anywhere, but I don't know. I just feel right now I'm in a better position than I ever really have been to keep going and be really committed to it.
I'll close us out here with a quote from Maggi's artist statement that I think sums up the work beautifully. As I have worked on HOMOS, they have both strayed from their origins and reaffirmed them. They are inextricably linked to gay liberation, and they will always carry that in their DNA. But they also are and are not a million other things. They are punk, they are men, they are women, they are extraterrestrials, they are psychonauts, they are lovers, they are cloaca having egg layers, and above all, they are art. My on Mondays is brought to you by MING Studios, a contemporary art space and international artist residency program in Boise, Idaho. For more information about MING's programming, or if you'd like to participate in My on Mondays, you can visit our website at mingstudios.org. We'll be back next Monday.